How y'all doing today? I was just, I have made a few notes, and I was talking in previous episodes about enabling and you know, the complete surrender. You have to completely surrender your life to Jesus Christ and let Him take the wheel. And this episode is basically on letting Him drive. Okay, you know, whenever I was a drinking, if I was at a party or if I was somewhere where I was doing a lot of drinking and this and that, and a lot of drugging too, I'm not going to dismiss the drugging, because the drugging was just as bad as the drinking. It's just that I didn't have a major problem. Well, I did for a long time, but anyway, it was one that I didn't recognize as quickly as I did the drinking, because, as I said earlier, I'd been saved whenever I was 11 years old. And I knew what I was doing was wrong once I got out of boot camp in the Navy, and I started going to the clubs and all that. And I didn't care. I was doing the driving. And you know, if I went to a party or something like that, and this was after I got out of the military, and I was while I was a butcher, because I was a butcher for many years. What I wanted to do was, whenever I would get drunk and somebody would offer to take me home or anything like that, no, I was doing the driving. And my biggest mistake is my decisions, because I was an alcoholic and because I stayed drunk most of the time, even though people didn't realize I was drunk. I knew I was drunk. I knew I was high. And all of my decisions went to crap. I mean, I made a lot of bad decisions over my lifetime, especially during that period of 13 years that I stayed out drinking and drugging. And I mean, I got really bad that if you had talked to anyone that knew me back then, they would tell you not to mess with me or not to go around me. They would say either I would get you in trouble or I would borrow money from you to drink, to buy drugs with, or do whatever, because I mean, I was taking money out of my bill money and paying for the drugs and the drinking. And it shouldn't have been that way, but it was. And it is for most alcoholics. Most alcoholics don't care where they get the money from. You know, if they've got $500 in their pockets and they owe $400 out in bills, then they will literally talk themselves into taking that money and say, well, I can replace it next week. And then, you know, it just becomes it does like a snowball effect. And then you start borrowing money off of people. And then the people, they want to run away from you after 2 or 3 times of that. They really don't want to be around you. And then you have to corner them in order to borrow some money off of them. And I've cornered many people. I've cornered people at work. I've cornered people. Well, to be honest with you, it's mostly people at work. I've cornered, my mother has gave me money, and she knew what I was going to do with it, I think. But I would tell her I needed it for food, or I needed it for gas to get back and forth to work or something. I had some kind of sorry excuse for needing the money. And she, being a loving mother that she was, or still is, she's still a loving mother, she would give me the money. And I never gave any of that money back, for which I'm extremely sorry for. But it was, and that goes back to the enabling. But she didn't tell me no, and she didn't realize that it was enabling. I mean, you know, I'm not throwing any fault on enablers, because it's not really their fault. I mean, they don't realize what they've done until after the fact, or until they'll sit back and think, well, you know, maybe if I hadn't gave them the money, they wouldn't have done it. But at the same time, you know, they was just trying to be the loving parent or the loving husband or wife or aunt, uncle, co-worker. They were just trying to be a good person and help you out in a spot. I mean, you could probably come up with some sorry excuse, like you didn't have enough money for gas, or somebody took some money from you, or you had to pay all your money out in bills, you had to repair your car. There's 1,000 excuses, and I've got every one of them in my back pocket, because I've used them all. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this series because of people that want to make mistakes and people that want to make bad decisions when it concerns their life. Every day I get up in the morning Now, once I surrendered my life to Christ and let Him do the driving, every day in my sobriety, I pray twice a day, and a lot of times I'll pray in the middle of the day, especially if it's a hard decision that I need to make regarding my family or regarding my future or my past. If it's something that I need to talk to the Lord about, I'm not afraid to go to the Lord and talk to Him, and I will go to the Lord and talk to Him. And nowadays, well, for the past 35 years, I've let Him do the driving. He has been the driving force in my life for the last 35 years. And He has straightened my life out. And I'm not a millionaire. I don't want to be a millionaire. But, and to be honest with you, I think if the Lord thought if the Lord was to allow me to be a millionaire, knowing me, I'd probably fall off the wagon and do something stupid. Because really, at this point in my life, I'm 65 years old. But at the same time, for the last 35 years, I've relied on the Lord for everything. And as I said earlier, I pray in the morning and at night for Him to come out in me and make sure that I make good decisions, and to give me feelings if I'm fixing to make a bad decision. It's not the thing that gets in the way of His will for us is the free will that God gave us, and we let that free will take over, and then the free will thinks it's making a good decision, but really it's not a good decision. So me allowing the Lord to make all the decisions in my life, and what I'll do, I'll get up each morning, I'll pray, I ask Him for forgiveness of my sins on a daily basis. Actually, every time I pray, I ask Him to forgive me of my sins, because I want the slate clear. I want Him to be able to hear what I'm asking. And I may not get the answer that I want, and I don't expect the answer that I want. But more times than not, I get the answer that I want, because I don't really pray for things I want. I pray for things that I need, and I pray for situations to change, and I pray for forgiveness, and I pray for pray for others. I pray for all of my family, and I pray for my wife's family, and all the family around us. I pray for the lost souls out there that haven't been saved yet, that somebody will reach out to them. And a lot of the reason behind some of the video songs that I do, these songs that I do are part of my life. These are little excerpts from part of my life. They're absolutely true. The songs are, and they are actually an inspiration to me, because I want to share my experiences with other people and the joy that I have found, as long as I keep Jesus Christ in the forefront. And Jesus Christ drives me. He drives me on every decision, and I don't make any hasty decisions without consulting Jesus Christ first, because I think it's just in my mind now, at 65 years old, at 35 years sober, for me, it's irresponsible not to ask for His opinion on something, or Him to be the driving force. Lord, show me which way I need to go. And that's basically the way I live my life, because, when you're in recovery, it's a daily thing. It's not, you don't get into recovery and you don't get sober and you don't get clean and go back home and, ooh, yay, I'm home. I'm out of the hospital. I'm sober. Because that is a dangerous comment to be making. Because in the grand scheme of things, recovery is a daily thing. And I thank the Lord every morning when I get up for letting me wake one more day sober. And then at night when I go to bed, I thank Him for allowing me to go through the day and stay sober all day. When I get up in the morning, my first thought is, okay, I'm not going to drink anything today. Thank you, Lord, for waking me up and allowing me to live one more day, and allowing me to be healthy enough to work and able to work, because I enjoy work. I enjoy keeping myself busy. And I'm the type person where if I don't have something to do, I've always heard the phrase, idle hands are the devil, because with idle hands you can really get into some some different things that you shouldn't be doing, or shouldn't be thinking about, or shouldn't be attempting to do, or setting and planning on doing. Because with me, for me anyway, I keep my mind busy. I'll keep my mind busy doing different things. But anyway, this has to be a complete surrender, and recovery is not a one-time thing. It is an everyday thing, and it's something that you will have to go through with every day. And it's not an easy battle. I'm not going to tell you it's easy, because it's not. But if you have the Lord Jesus Christ in your heart and let Him do the driving and completely surrender your life to Him, He will do the driving and you will stay sober. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to do so. You can email me at 35yearskept@gmail.com and hit like and subscribe, and I'd greatly appreciate your support to the channel. Thank you, and God bless.